Hi, I'm Renee Davaro from the Club for Creative Expression. Thank you for tuning in. And if there are any members listening, I'd love to hear from you so we can continue to explore the creative expression regardless of our circumstances. It's essential that we continue to brush up and bring forward our skills and passions. Remember that the club was formed to provide the platform from which you would be able to develop and express individuality through an artistic medium of choice, thereby enriching spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. A lot has happened in our world since that last meeting, but I'm hoping everyone remembers their individual intention and the commitment to what you wanted to create and keep those intentions alive. So my focus has always been to assist everyone in maintaining health, vitality, and a natural state of well-being, and to learn to disregard the general acceptance of the belief that aging means decay and degeneration. So first, my disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I am an integrative health coach, meaning I assist others in maintaining balance through mind, body, and soul integration. My tools of preference are hypnotherapy, nutrition, emotional, and physical fitness. I've been in practice 43 years, 44 in just a few months. So I'm not here to preach, criticize, or convince. I'm here to share information and offer suggestions that may provide support during challenging periods in anyone's life. So my coaching has always been based on natural therapies, which have helped thousands of clients over those 40 plus years. So feel free to call if you have any questions regarding the subjects we speak about. So you can leave a voicemail or text at 949-295-8077. So if you're on my mailing list, you might have seen my announcement telling everyone how pleased I am to have my favorite healthcare provider, Dr. Craig Stutzman, agree to join me in a publication that had previously gone out under the Natural Alternatives banner. Now, it's going to go out under Mission Hills Chiropractic. So today I want to introduce him to one and all. So Dr. Craig, say hello to our audience.
Hello there.
Hi, good to see you. Thank you for taking the time. And please tell our audience, what attracted you to chiropractic?
That was kind of a little long journey. I started out, I had my undergraduate degree in communications, and I went to Sacramento State, went there for a few years, graduated. And at that point, I wasn't really much into sitting in a cubicle and in an office setting. So it really didn't work for me. So I was in the restaurant business from the time I was probably 13 all the way through. And I ended up being a restaurant manager at Harpoon Henry's in Dana Point Harbor. Oh. And it just wasn't what I wanted to do in the long haul. And my cousin at the time, I was living with him, he had met this gal who was a psychologist who dealt with people on life choices, on where she felt that they were best used. And we started talking, and she knew that I liked to work with people, and she suggested it. And I was like, wow, okay, maybe I could do that. But at the same time, I was 28, 29 thinking, okay, well, I have to go back to school. Mm-hmm. And that idea at my age, even though that's fairly young, I was kind of on the fence on whether I wanted to do that, because I had to go back and do all my sciences and all that kind of stuff before I actually got into chiropractic. So I had some chiropractic experience. I was in a minor car accident and had a chiropractor. I really liked the adjustments and how it made me feel and how healthy it made me feel. So I thought, after a little bit of time, I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. And that's what I did. And it took me about 6 years to get through the college. And then I started in practice, and I've loved it ever since, because I get to see a change in people's lives every day.
Yes. You make quite an impact. So that's a remarkable story. And I know how much it takes, or how much of a challenge it is to go back to school as we get older. But
Yes.
you were younger than I was when I went back to college. Yeah, that's exciting. Good to know. And so, can you tell us, like a most common issue among men? What do you work with mostly with men?
Well, men and women aren't all that different in
Oh,
some of the things that they encounter. Whether it be low back pain, I see mostly in women, I see more headaches, which in a younger age, in the childbearing age with their cycles, you get a lot of headaches and migraines. Lower back is a really prevalent issue with both men and women, that and neck pain. And so those are the main things. And depending on the physicality of whatever the male or female is doing, you can also have problems with shoulders, wrists, with carpal tunnel issues, elbows, knees, all different things. So it's hard to pinpoint one thing that is primarily male and one thing that is primarily female, because they all get similar issues.
Yeah, the back problem is common to everyone, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Doctor, this may start to sound like a quiz, but I'm sure we'd all like to know more about what you do and why the treatments are so effective. So, I see the word subluxation in your office, and I am always wanting to ask you, just what is that? Please explain.
Subluxation is basically a bone that's out of place or stuck, not moving correctly, placing pressure on a nerve. And so what we do as chiropractors is we remove that pressure off the nerve so the nervous system can work the way it's supposed to. So chiropractic, yes, bones and joints, but we're not a bone doctor per se. It's more working with the nervous system. So our goal is to make sure that all the impulses that come from your brain down your spine and out to all cells and organs of your body are working the way it's supposed to. So if there's any interference in that, we remove the interference so everything can flow the way it's supposed to and your body can function the way it was meant to.
So in other words, it's like removing blockages.
Yes.
Releasing the whatever got perhaps tightened, or somehow you loosen that up, don't you?
Yes. And I use a simplistic analogy with a lot of my patients in that a garden hose. So if you have a garden hose, if you step on that garden hose, you have a release of water that is not as high as it was prior. Once you take that pressure off, now you have that full flow of water. And so it's very simplistic, but in the nerve, it comes out of the spine, it's about that big, and the nerve comes through. And if you have blockages, or if there's any kind of crimping on that nerve, there's no dead space in there. So everything else is compressed on that nerve. So that nerve is not able to function the way it's supposed to. So we relieve that.
Yeah. So that can be the pain, or the cause of the pain, right?
Yes, exactly. So you can have a pressure on your low back on a nerve, and you have no low back pain, but you have a pain in the foot, and you can't figure out, okay, why is the pain in my foot? I didn't do anything to it. Well, a lot of times it comes from the low back, because where it's exiting out the low back, there's pressure on that portion of the nerve that goes to your foot. So if you relieve that pressure, it'll help the foot pain.
Absolutely. It totally makes sense to me. And so please tell us, what is the age of your youngest patient?
My youngest patient was actually my youngest son. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I wasn't even out of school yet. And he was 2 hours old. I had to wait for the doctors and the nurses to leave the room before I adjusted him. And some people may think, okay, that's crazy. Well, if you have a natural childbirth, if a human coming out of 10 centimeters, there's a lot of torquing of the spine. And adjusting an infant is very different than you would an adolescent or an adult. So it's more pressure points, those type of things.
Uh-huh. Well, I've seen the photos of you holding a smiling baby with one hand and using the other for the adjustment. And,
Yes.
And so when people, are fearful, or they've heard or they've been actually hurt by a chiropractic adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
But, when I look at those smiling babies and I think, well, this couldn't have happened if Dr. Craig was making the adjustment, because those babies are all happy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I figure that if you're not hurting babies and they're smiling, so obviously they must have felt something.
Yes. And we get a lot in the office of infants that are constipated, and it really helps with that, adjusting the lower back, because that it gets the nervous system flowing again the way it's supposed to, and helps release. Because I've had countless, over the 20 plus years that I've been in practice, I've had countless women that come back and say they bring in their baby, it's constipated, and by the time they get out to the car, they had to change the diaper. And that hadn't happened in a few days. So, it gets things moving.
It does. Well, I guess it works not just for babies, but, I've had some constipated clients. So I guess you would resolve their issue, huh?
Again, we'll get the nervous system working the way it's supposed to. I never want to say we cure anything, but we get the nervous system working the way it's supposed to, so your body can work the way it's supposed to.
Oh, it's remarkable. And so, there's a lot of people, and I have some clients, and I also see a lot of people who are suffering from dizziness and vertigo. They have balance problems. And I discovered that there's a maneuver that you do that can relieve that condition. So Dr. Craig, tell us, what is the Epley maneuver and why is it so helpful for dizziness?
Okay, so the Epley maneuver is a maneuver we do for benign proximal positional vertigo. And basically what happens is you have these calcium crystals in the inner ear, and they're in one position, and sometimes they drop into the tubes of the ear where they're not supposed to be. So once that happens, the world starts to spin. So what we need to do is reposition that crystal back to its origin, where it's supposed to be. So what we do is we take the patient off the back of the table. It's kind of hard to visualize this, but they're laying down, their head is off the back of the table at about a 45-degree angle, and we turn the head for about 30 seconds to one side. Then we come back to the center, then we go off to the other side, and each side is about 30 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds. And what that does is that takes that crystal in the inner ear and positions it out of where it's not supposed to be. And so that will help. Most vertigo, well, I shouldn't say most vertigo, 17 to 20% of vertigo is caused by this. So this will definitely help with the vertigo.
Well, since I have to experience everything in order to be able to recommend to clients. So I did, you did work or do that maneuver with me, and I found it so incredibly relaxing. You see?
Yes, it can be very relaxing.
Yeah. I actually ended up sleeping better last night, because
that's good to hear.
Yeah. So it has several impacts. So can you kind of go over that again? I mean, just what is it? I mean, it's not just the nervous system. There's something, the crystals. So I think I want to understand that a little bit better.
Okay, they're calcium crystals that are on the inner ear, and they drop into the tubes with fluid. And they're not supposed to do that. When they do drop into the tube, it has fluid in there, and those crystals are meant to kind of balance you with the world, so to speak. So when it gets into the tube, it's not balance you correctly. So that's why you might feel the world spinning around you. So taking that crystal out of the tube, because of the position we put your head in, it drops. You have to hold it for 30 seconds so the crystal can move through the fluid back to where it's supposed to be.
Well, that is so interesting. Well, it seems to me that in the recent, let's say, year, I have noticed more people having balance issues and dizziness, and I've heard a lot of complaints also. So I wonder what is the cause of this? Why it's happening so much more? I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on that. It just seems that there's been an increasing number.
Right. I don't really have an scientific answer for you on that. Now, balance could be an issue of the crystals. It could be anemia, migraines. As you get into the older population, it could be just general, like the footwear, because everything needs to start at the foot. So if they're not wearing the correct shoes or don't have the correct support, everything down below works its way up. So you might have balance issues there. There's many causes why you might have a balance issue, but with this one, at least 20% we get really good results with.
Well, that's remarkable. I just wonder if, with stress, well, I would think that's the stress that we've all been under for the last year would add to this issue, wouldn't it? I mean, because again, I'm seeing what you've said about the nervous system and so forth. So if there's tension and people get, tight and rigid, then that flow of energy is not going to be happening, correct?
And stress is really, that's what keeps me in business, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, stress, we all have stress, and it doesn't have to be a sad stress or, a work stress. It can be a happy stress. It can, all kinds of stresses play havoc on the body because everything tightens up and your body's just not able to function the way it's supposed to. And you can't eliminate all stress from your life. It's just a fact of life. Absolutely. But it will play havoc with the spine. It will tighten it up so it's not moving the way it's supposed to. So we can help relieve that.
And that would be fabulous because a lot of people, well, like I said, we've had so much stress, and to learn to relax under these conditions, it's not always simple without medication. And again, my philosophy is stay away from medications, from drugs if you can help it, and do natural therapies. And I consider chiropractic a very natural therapy. It's just
absolutely
making an adjustment, and it doesn't hurt, and it's, like I say, relaxing.
Yes, and it keeps you healthy.
Absolutely. At any rate, I can't speak highly enough about Dr. Stutzman, and he is very skilled. He always knows just where the energy is blocked. So I had a back injury many years ago and found relief when I discovered chiropractic. And they made such a huge difference. And I see Dr. Craig regularly, even though the back issue is no longer there. I find adjustments help my posture, of course, and believe it or not, my vision. There is something that happens. What is it, Dr. Craig? That because it makes quite a difference in my ability to see. And I know that you used a particular tool to release that reptilian brain right in the back of my neck.
Yeah, the top two vertebrae in your neck. And the instrument that you're talking about is called an activator. And this is what an activator is. And so we use this primarily on the very young, if we need to, and the elderly. And the reason why we use this on the elderly is when you get to be a certain age, you lose some of the bone density. So a manual adjustment will not do you the good you want because the bones are very brittle. So what this instrument does, you can hear a click, it just taps.
Uh-huh.
And what that does is it stimulates the nervous system so that things will start flowing again. There, in some cases, depending on if they're really elderly, if they have a lot of degeneration, it's not going to take away the degeneration, but it can help stimulate the nervous system in those areas. What you're talking about is the vision. It comes from the top two bones in your neck.
Mm-hmm.
That's where those nerves come out, because all those nerves come up into the head and work all those organs. So this will help stimulate that and help with the nerve flow.
Uh-huh. Because I can really feel it when you do that right there on those bones. It's like there's a
Yeah.
there you go, and I can actually feel my eyes. I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had patients comment that the greens are greeners, the blues are bluer, and that type of stuff. So yeah.
Well, for me, it's a matter of astigmatism, So somehow with that, what you do, the adjustment, things line up, the way they're supposed to. And I believe it's tension that causes things to sort of go a little bit haywire for me.
Yes. And if we can relieve the tension, that's going to help relieve the nervous system so things will work the way that they're supposed to.
It's really quite remarkable.
Yeah.
So, here in Laguna Woods, of course, there's so many people with so many issues, and I hear about them. And of course, I want to encourage everyone to look for alternative therapies. See?
Oh, absolutely.
They can be so healing. They can be so helpful without having to take a medication that will bring about 10 other side effects. So again, I do recommend chiropractic. And again, I want to thank you, Dr. Craig, for being with me and for joining me in the newsletter. So I want to invite everyone listening to turn to Mission Hills Chiropractic or go to reneedevereaux.com to sign up for the free newsletter. There's no cost, and we do offer a lot of information. So I would, welcome you to, sign up and tell us what you want to hear about, what you want to learn about. I'm always open because I do write at least an article. So I'd like to know what people want to know besides diet, because again, that's one of my passions. Do you make recommendations as far as nutrition, Dr. Craig?
We do, depending on the person, because everybody's different and everybody has different needs, but we do actually cover that. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's just a matter of getting to basics and cooking your own food. I don't like convenience food of any type or fast food.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to, it's not going to provide the nutrients for anyone. So I always, I get on my soapbox very frequently.
Yes.
It's like, you've got to eat quality food. Don't go with the fads. I know right now there's a lot of people saying that they have, they want to avoid carbohydrates. And the truth of the matter is you have to have carbohydrates if you want to maintain muscle mass, you see. And that's, I think it's a very valid point. So
absolutely.
At any rate, is there anything else that you'd like to add, Dr. Craig? I really enjoyed having you.
I enjoyed being here. I think we've covered it all, and this has been a pleasure, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Oh, and here I'm looking at the list of the problems, including asthma. Asthma. Oh my gosh, tell us about asthma. Oh, do we have time? Please.
Yeah. Well, really quickly, again, it comes down to we're not treating asthma per se. We're treating the nervous system. So if you do have asthma, if we can free up that middle back, it can help the nervous system work the way it's supposed to, because our bodies were designed to work in harmony with every organ and cell in the body. Exactly. So if we can free up the nervous system, it can definitely help. So we don't necessarily say that we cure anything, but if you want to get the nervous system working at its optimal for you,
Right. Well,
chiropractic will help.
well, so many people have asthma, and now, because they've been wearing masks, a lot of people are really suffering. So
Hmm.
I do want to point that out to anyone who is having difficulty breathing or who has asthma, because that
Yeah,
would be
absolutely.
very helpful. So again, I think we're there, and I appreciate your coming on. I will see you soon. And
That sounds
everyone,
good.
thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your being here with us. And do go to Mission Hills Chiropractic or reneedevereaux.com to sign up for a free newsletter full of good, healthy information. So goodbye, and thank you so much.